Welcome to Joy of the Hang. I'm your host, Sharon Stevenson, and today's episode takes us all the way to Ukraine, where my guest is joining us remotely in the midst of both challenge and change. Today's guest embodies courage, conviction, and the spirit of entrepreneurship, even in the most uncertain times. Yana Matviychuk is a Ukrainian entrepreneur and passionate advocate for a free economy, a system she believes empowers individuals, fuels innovation, and strengthens communities. From Kiev to the global stage, Yana has become a leading voice for economic freedom, resilience, and rebuilding in the midst of war and recovery. In this conversation, we explore what it means to create, rebuild, and hang on, not just to hope, but to purpose, when the world around you is changing by the minute. Yana shares her insights on leadership, freedom, and the powerful connection between entrepreneurship and human dignity. So grab your coffee, maybe your courage, and join us as we talk about the kind of joy that doesn't ignore the hard things, but grows through them. Welcome, Yana.
Sharon, thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, I'm excited to learn more, and I think our listeners will be too. I mean, we in America here obviously have heard about the war in Ukraine for years with Russia, and it's been going on, and which is fantastic, obviously, that you guys are still holding your own. So I think, why don't we start with, you've become a strong voice for economic freedom in Ukraine, and I know you're an entrepreneur. Can you share what first inspired your passion for entrepreneurship and a free economy, and how that passion has evolved since this war began?
First of all, I want to tell everybody that today private initiative is what saved Ukraine during this wartime, really. And it's from the start of the war, private persons, private initiatives made us very strong as a nation, as a country. And please stay with us. I will tell you what exactly I mean and how does it work now. So, thank you for this question. And I started my business in 2004, over 20 years ago, with only $300 in my pocket. And for me, business, especially that time, it was not something only to make money. You know, I wanted to be independent from my family, from my parents, from the state, and to take responsibility. I felt that I want to be, a person who can be responsible for her own life. What is important, capitalism for all of us is like a freedom of choice. Yes, but business is like really its responsibility when you start it. And economic freedom, I didn't learn from books or from some, university even, because I'm a historian by education, master of history. And already now I have executive MBA, but anyway, my first education is historian. So economic freedom, this is what I learned from my practical life. And actually, when the state doesn't interfere in our life, economic growth and the country becomes more strong, because people take responsibility, etc. So since 2022, my belief for economic freedom became even stronger. And now I can tell you for sure that economic freedom is a weapon. And especially this case in Ukraine shows it very good. When the government paralyzed by war or when happens the situation when not one person can solve everything, many individuals, many communities start to act, and this is what keeps the country alive. And in Ukraine, this is the biggest case when many thousands of small communities started to be on their own land, on their own place, and saving lives just on the territory. And today, for us, for example, entrepreneurship, it's like small farmers, small manufacturers, small IT companies. What they do, they not only making business, and it's not only economic growth. They supply the army, they make drones, they make all kind of armor, communications, optics, etc. So many hundreds of companies working for the army, for our independence and for our defense. So private companies can save the country. Monopolies cannot save it. So that's why advocate for economic freedom, and I think I always will be.
I love that. And you mentioned two things I want to go back to. One, you started because this is important for people worldwide. This is not just a Ukraine thing or an American thing. So when you started, you had $300 in your pocket, you said, right? So that's not a lot of money. That's 300 US dollars, right? And so I'm so you started a company, I believe it was Arena CS. Is that the company? And what does your company do? And how did you start with so little money?
So first of all, now today already I have 9 working businesses. And my first business that I started from $300 in my pocket, Arena Creative Solutions. This business is still working. It's quite a big consulting company. We make offline events, marketing strategies, SMM, websites, digital production, etc. We have 75 people in my company working for as a team, and we make per year 1,500 projects for different clients in Ukraine and also clients from abroad. Why? This is services, It's digital strategies, it's events, and actually it's not like too big, make a big production, yeah? You just need to make a good team and start the business. So actually, just a few years, he was the main manager for the company, and $300 was only for registration of the LLC, that started as a business. Yeah, in Ukraine is a country for many different opportunities. And if you are smart, but we have very many smart people, you can make your own business. And this is what I tell every day in Ukraine, in my YouTube channel, and when talking to students and showing my case. I'm a small girl, 160 centimeters, but I rule quite big businesses. And today I have also production of drinks. I have with my partners huge garden of apple trees. And inside this garden, we have factories that produces juices, apple cider, patty, so many different drinks. And I love business, As I told you, for me, it's independence from the state, from everybody, and it's a responsibility. I love to take responsibility. I feel strong very much inside me, this power, and the leadership. And I think if God gave you this talent, you need to produce it and you need to develop it. So it's a big sin not to use this talent. So I do this.
But you started this when you were in your 20s, right? You were young.
Yeah.
You're still young.
I was 20. I was 21.
21. I mean, I'm just so impressed with you. Your story's great. And now you have 2 children, is that correct?
I have 2 daughters. My husband, he's military, and yeah, this is our life today. And 9 businesses in my pocket.
So talk to other women there that might want to start their own business, but they have young children at home. It's challenging, correct? How do you manage it all?
It's challenging, but for me, for my person, business is something that I cannot not do. Just I need to move on all the time, to create something new, to connect people, to make projects that will grow. And as an advocate of free economy, I understand that there are people who can make business and who cannot, for example. There are people who doesn't want to make business. So if you have this talent, you need to use it, because to entrepreneurs, to people who can create something new, some value for customers, for country, and country will grow due to these people. Because for Ukraine, now we see that it's very important, because for us, economics is money, and money is a weapon for our front line, for our soldiers. So economics very important, and the entrepreneurs, business people, those who actually make value in economy of the country.
It's great.
But for women, you asked for women.
Well,
but
specifically because, I mean, I think a lot of women, I know when I was raising my children, it was difficult to manage, being a mom and raising your kids and daycare and all of that, and also work. And it was definitely hard in the United States because the cost of childcare is so expensive here. So to do that and to think about building a business at that same time, definitely challenging for women here in the US. So, that's why I was asking the question, because
Okay.
do you have support? How are you able to do it all?
When I hear this kind of questions, I always think that, oh, I'm a woman, I'm a strong one. I should not say all details, what's going on in reality.
You're right.
But
Yeah.
of course, it's very difficult. And of course, when I was pregnant, both times I went to the office till the last day of the giving birth, till the last day. And when I gave birth, in 1-2 weeks, I already was inside business again. Maybe not full day, but half of the day sitting on computer. Due to Zoom and other instruments, it's possible. But what is most important, I'm a person who working with teams. I create very good teams, and I give people freedom to make their own decisions, to take responsibility. Actually, people who understand what is economic freedom, they would give also freedom to other people whom they work with. That's why my teams always supported me in this process when I was pregnant, having kids. Until now, my kids, one is 6 years old, another one 11 years old. It's not that easy. Every day, go to school, go to some swimming pool somewhere else, and it all takes time. We share these responsibilities with my husband, and I have my mother who's helping, and the nanny. Of course, I need it. And in Ukraine, it's also very expensive to childcare to have these services. For example, kindergarten is $500 minimum per month. School, private school, is $1,000 per month. This is what I pay already 11 years for both kids. And the second one went to school now. It's also $1,000 per month. It's private, but
Yeah.
also to
Wow.
understand psychology or my philosophy, for example. Yes, if I talk about free economy and I speak about bureaucracy and that Ukraine need to open more markets for private companies, for private kindergartens, private schools, private medicine. So according to my philosophy and to my state of mind, I shall not use I don't want to use the government services. Yeah, we have some free services that are given by government, schools, kindergarten, but it's all busy. We have not enough of it. And if I have money to use private ones, so of course I use private ones. There are people who use services of the state, but it's very, very different services. So that's why I think I'm blessed by God to be possible to make business in Ukraine and to have such great people with me, my teams. You cannot imagine. In my company, 60% are women, and all of them with me. Some of them working with me more than 10 years, and all of them made families, gave birth to children during all this time, and still working with me. And they are ruling on the markets where we work. So I know it's very difficult, really, but you should plan your life. My life is planned 2 weeks in advance. If some of my friends tell me, let's have dinner or lunch or coffee this I say sorry. I have like in 2 weeks some corridor for a meeting. Of course, it looks strange for some of them who meet me rarely, but to be effective, and especially today in the war, you need to plan, and you need resources. Because today we have 7 nights during the week in Kiev. Half of the nights we don't sleep because of the bombing, because we need to go to shelter and with kids and everything. But every morning, 9 o'clock, I should be in the office. My children should be at school. And this is, this, you have to do this. So this is life that goes together with war. But everything is
Yeah.
possible.
Well, obviously, I mean, because you have the added stress of war every night that we do not have here, thankfully. Can't imagine your daughters, your 6-year-old especially, has not really known a life without bombs and war, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's grown up in this war. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, the first daughter, she was born 2014, and this is the start of the war. So actually, both daughters lived all the time during the war, because war in Ukraine started in 11 years ago.
Has it gotten any better or worse, or has it stayed the same during that entire time as far as the war?
Of course, like we said, full-scale invasion, it was in 2022. But people from the west, east, Donbass, this is eastern part of Ukraine. So I forgot, sorry, for my English, Ukrainian is my native. So I'm sorry if I do something wrong or tell something wrong. So my family from Donbass, Donetsk, this is the place where the war started 11 years ago. And actually, all my relatives left their homes from Donbass. A few months they lived in our house in Kiev. And of course, in Kiev that time when war started, it was not like now. It was no bombing for civil people, no bombing of the cities, only that region where Donetsk, Lugansk is. So it was very terrifying. And all my family, my cousins, my uncles, they left that region. And now it's occupied, temporary, but occupied by Russia. So in 2022, of course, everything that happened in Donetsk in 2014, it all happened in Kiev. So the troops of Russia was like 60 kilometers from Kiev, just in one day. They came very fast. By the way, I wanted to tell you the story. You asked about private initiative and how does it work. So we have so many incredible stories about people who saved their communities. And I want to tell you one of the stories of a guy from Kharkiv. So it was one wedding photographer. It just first day of the war, of full scale in 2022. It was a wedding photographer. So the day before, he was shooting with his drone the wedding. But next day, the war started. And it was first hours of invasion. And what he did, some people called him. They said, we know that you are a photographer of the weddings and you have drone. So please come to us. Military people asked him. We will shoot the troops. We will shoot the tanks. And he used this drone to locate Russian columns and send coordinates to Ukrainian artillery. And some other guys, it was just small wedding drone. And he knew how to use it. And then other guys from IT company, they used maps and knew how to locate all the dots of the tanks and to connect it to artillery. Due to this photographer, due to these guys, they destroyed the huge army that was near Kharkiv. Just by drone, it was one guy with a drone, wedding photographer, and a few guys from IT company. And in media, Russians was laughing, oh, you send against us wedding photographers, ha ha ha, we will invade you. But this changed completely the war. That time in 2022, drones was not in use in the army yet. But what happened next? We slowly started to use it. And when we ran out of ammunition, one of the guys said, let's strap explosion to the drone. And this is how FPV drones started to be used. Of course, now Russians, they copy this strategy. Yeah. But first, it's example how private initiative and small guys, small people, small entrepreneurs, they just changed the way how to stop the full huge army. Because in Kharkiv, they was just close to this, do very much. And now they are close, like few kilometers from Kharkiv. And the city suffers a lot, much more than Kyiv. But still, this is how private initiative change everything in Ukraine.
That's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, my prayers go out to the people of Ukraine because obviously the Russian army is huge, so already beaten a lot of odds. The odds are against has been against it, so it's been amazing to watch. So how has the ongoing conflict changed what it means to be an entrepreneur in Ukraine? What does resilience look like on the ground for small business owners right now?
First of all, we should not say conflict because, this is war. Really, it's,
Oops.
because Putin just openly even wrote a few years ago that Ukrainians are bad Russians, spoiled Russians. And Russians now, they don't want just territory. They want to destroy us as a nation. So that is why everyone, entrepreneur, every Ukrainian understands that we cannot stop. We need to fight. Everyone needs to fight. And entrepreneurs is the most responsible, most proactive people in the society. And of course, we are doing everything to stay in Ukraine. Many people, many businesses do stay in Ukraine. And what businesses do today? So before 2022, the business entrepreneurship, it was to create something new, to be positive, to export, to build some teams. Yeah. But after 2022, entrepreneurs became our defense. And I want to tell you more about market of drones. Ukraine is a country that suffered from Soviet Union very much. And we had this economic situation. It's completely not free, to be honest. Yeah, because we have this Soviet legacy that still we are trying to get rid of. But the market of drones, this is one of the most interesting market where we have almost all economic freedoms that we could imagine. I will tell you more. During already this full-scale invasion, this war, we started in Ukraine a special legal frame for business. It's called Dia City. You know that in Ukraine, we have many things digitalized in government. We have digital passports, digital driver license. I don't have to keep a lot of papers with me. Everything in my iPhone. It's Dia. But for business, our government created Dia City. This is a place with a low tax zone, and it's much more easy to make business there. So all people who produce drones, they are in this system. They working with low taxes, much less bureaucracy. It's economic freedom zone, for these companies who produce everything for defense. Many IT companies work there, creative businesses. And as a free economy advocate, I must tell you that this Dia City, this new framework of economic zone for Ukraine did so much for our businesses. So many people stayed in Ukraine due to this, because many startups could just go to Poland or to Lisbon to have better conditions. But today they stay here due to this Dia City. And what about drones? For example, in Russia, they have just few producers of drones, and it's all monopoly of the government. And they have few models of drones, which we already, most of them we know. And we have systems that protects the air. Of course, it's crazy for us because they produce thousands of it every week. They have very big production part, but we have much smaller resources. That's why for us, economic freedom and this Dia City made the situation when over 200 producers of drones produce different drones in Ukraine. So we have more than 60 models, 60 models of drones. Russia has few. We have more than 60. And this is most important because the air protective, the systems that protect the air need to see models of drones and to understand how to make them out of work. So Russians still don't know all our 60 and more models of drones. But what is the key message that I want to say? This private initiative. So when government do not monopolize the area of market for drones, made it possible to produce such different drones, different weapons, for the front line. Because due to these small entrepreneurs like this wedding photographer, Today, this is the war of drones. Really, it's unbelievable how much war changes every day. And our guys, they say that every week we have changing, change new kind of weapons, new kind of drones. And all of them, all the frontline need to study new rules. So this is what business and entrepreneurship means for Ukraine today. It's all, most of the businesses work for our defense, for the army. And this is really, this is amazing, really.
Yana, explain to me why the Ukraine is so important to Russia. Why is it that Russia is wanting to take over your country?
This is a very good question, Sharon, because I'm sure that many people in America, in Europe, in the world do not understand that this is, as we said with you, this is not a conflict. This is a war when one country, Russia, wants to destroy our nation. Why? Because Russia is an empire, and they have a goal to restore, rebuild their empire. Last empire that was ruined is Soviet Union, and Ukraine was one of the most important parts of that empire. And now they want to bring it back, everything back. And Ukraine is not the place where they will stop. So I just want to emphasize that if they cannot, but if happens something that Ukraine will fall, Europe is the next. And this is for sure, because we all need to remember the history of 20th century. When communist Russians, Soviet soldiers went to Europe, to many, many countries in Europe. So this is what they do now. They want to rebuild the empire.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I thank you for clarifying that, because I think a lot of people don't understand, especially when the war's gone on for as long as it has, the end game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go on to, we talked a little bit about women leadership, but you are a part of a powerful wave of women leading and rebuilding in Ukraine. What has this movement revealed about women's leadership, especially in times of chaos and uncertainty? Let's face it, women are better leaders anyway. I just think we are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women are incredible in all the world. I know this, because if there is chaos, you need to bring woman and she will make a structure from this. In Ukraine, you see this very clear now, because our Ukrainian women, they now showed leadership in all kind of front lines. They're great organizers, they make businesses, they open different volunteer agencies. Also, we have 100,000 women in the army, in the SU, in the army. And 5,500 in the front line, they are like a combats, or how you call it, they have combat roles. They rule drones, they are drivers on the front line, they're shooters. So really, it's our women amazing. There are so many small details for women leadership, and how women just go to the professions where they were not there before. In 2022, in the army, there were no good ammunition for women for their front lines, And even this needed to be created, so many details. But today we have ammunition for women. Many foundations help us to see what else needed, and etc. So in Ukraine, women today are very active. I will tell you more. Those who stay here, and I think many who even left with the children, they understand if our men in front line will happen to them something. So many women would have to take the guns, because I'm telling you, Putin wants to destroy us as a nation, and it's our responsibility to protect children to protect the future, not just lands, just the future of the nation. And as a master of history, I'm telling you, it's not the first time when Russia wants to destroy Ukraine. Many, many times in the history, at least last 300 years, it happened. Women's leadership today in Ukraine, it's also opening businesses. In 2024, I checked statistics, and all new businesses that were opened in Ukraine, 61% was opened by women. We had opened last year more than 200,000 new businesses, completely new, and 61% are opened by women. And many women are those who are left from the territories that are temporarily occupied now. So this is about women's leadership, when you are not just sitting and doing nothing, just waiting for your husband from the front line. No, we are acting, and we know that we are a very strong place for helping even those who are in need now, for displaced people. Yeah. In 2022, my team, I have more than half of top managers in my businesses. They are women, young women. And 7 of them united, and we opened the foundation, Women's Aid International, and we helped families who are displaced. We helped women with different school trainings, not just giving humanitarian aid, but also to help them to be new community. Because many people came from cities that are on front line. They come to new city, and you are in Ukraine. It's your motherland, but you know no one. How you can socialize yourself in new environment? So we started to make school for girls, some training, and 145 women was in our trainings, and they made new communities, they made new friends, new acquaintances, just new support for themselves, such a kind of socialization. So this is only one example of my small foundation, that I made by my managers. But we have thousands of these small groups who help in their own communities. So this is what I say, this is private initiative when you start and do not wait when government will do this for you.
No, I love that. It's fantastic. So many people around the world want to support Ukraine, but don't always know how beyond donations. From your perspective, what kinds of partnerships or exchanges could truly make a difference for Ukraine entrepreneurs?
This is also a very good question, because donations is very good. And especially in the beginning of the war, I don't know what would we do without any donations. But even now, we are so grateful for American people, for all our partners who help us, and they still do. You still do help us, and also not only government, but private foundations, private businesses, private initiatives. We get a lot of very good help, and especially with medicine, help to our children. So donations, it's great, but we need partnership. We are really strong people. Really, we are. Everyone who made business in Ukraine or with Ukrainians, I'm sure, I hope you had a good, successful story, because we are in love with doing something new for our country. And what would I say about this partnership? What could be? Yeah, for example, you can open R&D departments in Ukraine, because many people here need job, and we have very good education system. Many young people, they are with great IT knowledge, and our country is not we are very modern. So you can imagine, if we have everything digitalized, we have many governmental services digitalized. So we can be very good partners in R&D offices. You can invest, for example, for startups that make anything for defense, because we have this DS City is a place where defense countries, defense companies, IT startups, they work with low taxation, with less bureaucracy, and this is a big chance to have good investment and very good return on investment. Also, it's great an opportunity to help to certify our products in the West, in America, in Western countries, because the drones that we make today, you just don't understand what could be if we invest more money in this. Ukraine could be the country who produce the best quality drones for all kind of jobs, for defense, for sure. Because you should accept that this kind of war that going on now, nowhere else, now no one has this experience as Ukrainians have. Because this is very new war, and war of technologies, war of drones, and war of soldiers, of course, unfortunately still, but it's all together connected. And our soldiers and our entrepreneurs who work for soldiers, for army, they know all these new technologies and they use it. They make today drone, tomorrow it's on the front line. They say, military people say, listen, you need to change here a little bit because it would be better like this. They change tomorrow, it goes again on front line. So this is how new technologies produced. So our engineers are really today very powerful, and if some American companies could invest, or Western partners could invest in Ukraine in all defense startups, it's a really great investment. And it's investment also for the peace in the world, for the peace for the Europe, for America, for everybody, of course,
Yeah.
for Ukraine. Yeah. So it's we all together here.
That sounds like a win-win for sure, for the world, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. In the face of destruction and loss, what keeps you hopeful? Are there moments or people who remind you what you're fighting for economically or personally? What keeps you hopeful?
Yeah. Of course, today for Ukraine, hope is not just a word, is not a slogan, is action. Because for us, we know that we cannot say, oh, let's do it after war. We do it today, all the time. So if you need to do this, do it today. Even if you have no power, no energy, etc. But for me, I'm in love with small businesses and with our farmers. You know, it's such a joy to see videos. I don't know if you see this in America, in Ukraine, in YouTube and Facebook, we see it all the time. Like a farmer making his orchard just after bombing yesterday, after it was bombed, you know? And he is again cleaning, making everything. This is the power of our people. And the front line for this farmer, it's like 10 kilometers. And he has hope to take care of his land, of his orchard. This is the hope for me. And we have teachers who make lessons for kids from the shelter, just from Zoom. Everybody, children there in the shelters, and they make Zoom lessons for them just in the shelter during bombing. You know, it's this is hope, and many situations. It's like a miracle that we do every life in Ukraine. Also for my people, for example, my office, we have bombing at night, for example. And just for you to understand what is attack on Kiev, it's a live, for example, of a 20th floor. And you hear drone all the time, all night they are running, and all night you hear these drones, and you hear the people who shooting them. So it's night when you cannot sleep. And good if you will stay alive, you are lucky. And it's true, really. But if you stay alive, you have to come to the office. We have even crazy black jokes, you know. If you survived the bombing this night, you have to be in the office at 9. And this is miracle. This is hope for me when my people come to the office at 9 after this night of no sleep. And they come to the office night of no sleep, and in the office, no electricity because of this crazy bombing night. You know, it's now when I read literature or some books about First or Second World War, I read it like I'm there because we have everything the same. You know, when 10 years ago, when I was at school, for example, when we was reading at school this kind of books about war, it looked like something very far, like you war.
Yeah.
But today you read it and you cannot imagine that you have the same feeling, the same fears, the same problems of your everyday life when there is no electricity, when you don't know to buy today new shoes or not to buy because maybe you will need money to run out from Kiev because again, Russians will come closer. So it's our hope. It's every day to stay mentally healthy and to make small decisions to stay in Ukraine, to be healthy, to survive, and to work, to make everyday routine. So this is actually, I'm really happy to share this, by the way, because I think, you know, many people do not understand from news how it is to live in Kiev, in every Ukrainian city these days. And one YouTube video from the city was bombed will not show you these emotions as you just be inside
And
the pro.
right. And I can feel your emotion, and I am feeling it too, because my experience as an American is I've never lived through a war. I've never lived through, I
Thank God.
can't, like you said, I mean, it's for me, I've read about it in books, but I can't imagine. I'm trying very hard to put myself in your place and imagine what it's like to go to bed at night and hear the bombs overhead. And I'm trying to imagine the destruction you must wake up to every day and wondering if your workers are going to make it to work, and knowing that no matter what, you have to get up the next day with your children and have some sense of normalcy and keep
Yeah.
that going, and just the mental resilience that that would take. It's difficult for me to put myself there, and I can feel your emotion. I can see your emotion. And I am so impressed. That's why I'm just so impressed with your story, and I'm impressed with your strength, because I'm sitting here at my house looking out at a beautiful, I live on the water, and I'm looking out at the water, and it's beautiful and the sun is shining. And I know that I'm going to go to bed tonight and I'm not going to hear bombs. And I know that tomorrow is going to be another beautiful day. And I take it for granted. And I'm sure a lot of people in the United States take it for granted because it feels so far away
Yeah.
from our reality. So I so appreciate you sharing that so vividly, because I just can't, it's difficult unless you're there and you're smelling the smoke from the bombs and you're having all of well, like I said, I just really appreciate you bringing that somewhat alive for our listeners, because I do think it's hard. And because it's gone on for so long, we've desensitized a little bit from it all.
Yeah.
You're still living it, and now it's coming into Kiev, which is scary. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You know, it's, I don't blame anyone who feel big distance to this. Yeah.
yeah,
Because I even should tell you that for us, I'm in Kiev and, for example, Zaporizhia was crazy bombed all night. Yeah. But I was sleeping, for example, that night. So it's also like different understanding, you know, like it's in your country, it's all people died and some families didn't wake up, but you still was sleeping in your bed at the same time, you know? And this reality that your mind cannot accept it completely because it's very terrifying, to be honest. Yeah. And this is what I want to emphasize again, that why Russians, why Putin is hitting our hospitals, our factories, our houses, because he wants all of us Ukrainians first to be scared, to be wanting to do everything not to be scared, and to, I don't know, to stop any this war in any way. But at the same time, it's not possible to scare us because in Ukraine, everybody understands that he doesn't want just small territory now that they temporary occupied. They want all our territory. And when no way they would come, but if could happen that come to Ukraine, they would destroy every person here, everyone. So history shows then when Russians went to any Ukrainian city, all citizens were just cancelled, just bring to death. Like Mariupol now under occupation. All people who loved Ukraine, part of them left. All those never left, never survived. And history would not show never how hundreds of thousands of people there were brought to death by this regime because all their bodies were immediately burned. They had special machines just in the city. They would burn the bodies. So it's crazy regime. They just want to destroy life. And in Ukraine, we want to protect life. So that's why really for us, it's resilience. We know what it means. And everyone who stays here and who is abroad but feel himself Ukrainian, we will never give up. So we need the great partners like Americans, United States, all our Western partners and others who help us, because you saw Russia, it's huge. So Ukraine is much smaller. So
Yeah.
we cannot do this by ourselves. And we are not protecting only us. We are protecting also others and freedom for others. We should all see this, we should be strong and brave to say what is evil, what is not. So still there is
So
evil.
what percentage of Ukraine does Russia currently occupy? Do you know?
I cannot. I don't remember the full number of for now. Yes, but it's less than 20% of the territory.
Oh,
As
good.
soon as I remember, just yeah. But it's
Yeah.
but also, when in news you see that Russia would occupy Ukraine soon, etc. But during 10 years of war, they occupied less than 20% of the territory. I will check now how many territories are occupied, the full percentage. Yeah, it's like 19% of Ukraine, 19 is temporarily occupied by Russia. So we are strong to keep the line, to keep them away. We need more weapons. We need more weapons from our partners just to hit the enemy. So just for you to hear the very important numbers. 11 years of war, and only 19% of the Ukraine is temporarily occupied by Russia. They don't have so much power. It's not a very strong, economically powerful country. If we would have more weapons, we would win much faster. So for us, now this most important. Give us, please, more weapons. If someone hear me, so I would appreciate a lot to understand these numbers. They are not that strong.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I want to go to your message to the world. If you could speak directly to entrepreneurs, investors, and change makers around the globe, what would you want them to understand about Ukraine right now?
Thank you, Sharon, for asking me such important questions. Of course, I would love to talk about life and family more than about war, but this is our life also as well today. So anyway, I want all entrepreneurs, all investors to understand that Ukraine is not only the war. Ukraine is opportunities. Ukraine is great people, creative people. We have here many opportunities for people who want to invest. This is for sure. And what would I recommend is to invest in defense, in different startups that make any production for the army. And Ukraine is the best place for this kind of investments. So please, we need more partnerships. We need your help. Come, and I'm sure you will have, and we will find great partners in Ukraine here.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Even in such difficult times, where do you personally find moments of joy or peace those hangs that remind you that life is still worth celebrating?
Life is for sure worth of celebrating, really. And I think when you live in a war, you feel it with all your heart. Because every day here can be last day of your life. This is for sure. How many families in Kiev, in other cities, didn't wake up in the morning after bombing, And I don't know, hundreds, but even one life, it's a tragedy, when people lose friends, relatives, families. So for me, hope and the joy of life is my children, is my husband. I have beautiful girls. They are so smart. They are dancing great. They take part in competitions for dancers. We have in Ukraine Olympiada. You know this Olympiada for mathematics, different all Ukrainian competition for mathematics, for Ukrainian language schools, and my children take part in this all the time, and they do it without me telling, go take part in this competition for math. They do it independently, they have a wish to do this. And for me, it's always a joy because I understand that life goes on, always. And this is for me very, very important source for happiness. And of course, pray and God. We have a good church where we go every Sunday and we pray together. And in our church, we have many soldiers who are on the front line. We have widows already, unfortunately. And we have even girls, who were pregnant when they lost their husbands. And we all, with our community, help them to raise a new life, even though their husbands already died for the country, died for Ukraine. So this is a joy, life is always joy. We need to be happy and to be grateful that we have this and to take all evil away from here. So just to be active and not to give freedom to evil.
One last question for you that I think my listeners might be curious about too. First of all, again, thank you for your bravery and your commitment. But my question is, with so much violence surrounding you and being in a war zone, why do you stay?
Why I stay in Ukraine?
Yeah. Why don't you?
Yeah. Sharon, it's a great question, really.
Yeah.
I think many Ukrainians and even my friends would ask me the same if they would be so brave, why you stay?
Why do you stay?
But I'm Ukrainian. It's my home. I will not leave. I want my children to be raised like Ukrainians, because if they go to another country, they will be in their school, so they will be not Ukrainians, I want my children to see how Ukraine fight for freedom, for independence. And for me, this is very important because children, it's our future, If our children would not be Ukrainians, Ukraine would not exist. This is what Putin wants. He wants me to speak Russian, and he wants me to leave Ukraine with my kids. This is his number one dream. But I speak Ukrainian, and I stay here in Ukraine with my family, with my kids, and many, many friends of mine do the same.
You speak English too. Did you learn that as a young adult?
Yeah, no, I learned it in school in Ukraine, actually. We have very good education, Sharon. That's why I tell everybody, come invest in Ukraine. We have great educated people, but we don't have enough money, to use all this intelligence, all these brains. But for partners like Americans, for example, we could do this. And I'm sure in America, you have a lot of people who would love to invest in unusual, new markets. So Ukraine, this is great opportunity for this. Of course, it looks like lots of problems, but those who want to check, please come to Ukraine, call me. I will help you to be safe here and to understand what is going on and how to find great project for investment. Because I'm also the owner of a business club. It's called Young Business Club. We have over 1,000 entrepreneurs, small and medium business, and half of these people, owners of businesses, are in Ukraine, half in Europe, but it's still our club, huge one, who has businesses here in Ukraine and still producing taxes and making, giving people work. Ukraine is a really great country. So I'm here. And if everyone wants to come to Ukraine, call me. I'm open for new friends.
You're amazing. You really are. You're amazing. I so appreciate your time. So, what an inspiring conversation with Yana today. A true reminder that even in the midst of turmoil, purpose and connection can thrive. Her courage to build, to believe, and to keep showing up for her community in Ukraine reminds us that joy isn't something we wait for, it's something we create together. If today's episode moved you, please share it with a friend and help spread the message of resilience and hope. You can follow Yana's work and advocacy for a free economy through the links in our show notes. And remember, every conversation, every connection is an opportunity to hang on to what matters most. I'm Sharon Stevenson, and this is Joy of the Hang. Until next time, keep hanging in, hanging out, and hanging on to joy. Thank you, Yana. I will keep praying for you.
Thank you, Sharon, so much. And thank everybody. I send you love from Ukraine.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.